Alright, so I'm going to carve, hopefully, some sort of landscape. I'm thinking mountains, maybe some trees in the foreground, and maybe some clouds up in day. Who knows? But I'm going to kind of show you the process, and hopefully you get some value. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is create a horizon line, and you don't want to make it, or at least I don't like making mine halfway, like maybe doing mine a third of the way. So maybe like right there. You can do it lower, you could do it higher, but around there is going to be my horizon line. Now I can make mountains from this fairly easy, as you can see, just by gliding across, and you can have some in the back, you could have some in the front, you could have some winding down lower than the horizon, maybe cutting in, and then maybe you have one up here that cuts into that one, and then you got one up there that cuts into this one, and really just putting in as many mountains here as possible where it still has good flow to it. And just go ahead and start outlining your mountains. And remember, these are going to be in the background, so the further they get, like this one right here, which is showing as one of the deepest or has some of the bolder lines, you want to make those more faint as it gets closer to you, or closer to the foreground, which means the lower it gets from your horizon line, the darker and the bolder the lines should get to emphasize that it's closer to you. Further away, it should have fainter lines, right? Okay, so that's step one, just setting up your background. I like to start from the furthest way possible, close to the horizon line. So we'll do our mountains, and then we'll do the clouds that are going to be in the distance. Anything close to the horizon line is the farthest possible, should be the furthest possible away from you in the landscape. So in this landscape, I'm looking out, looking towards the mountains. The mountains are the furthest thing back, except for the sky. The sky is obviously even further back than that. And so that's what's going to be next. I'm going to do just some little cloud shapes in here, to really emphasize. And the closer that the clouds are to the horizon line, the more the clouds are going to be faint, and they're going to be more like a line. So you're going to have these faint little markings to act as the clouds. Now, as the clouds get closer to you, they'll be higher up here. They'll be more at the top. They're going to take a lot more space, and they're going to be more vertical. Okay, so closer to the horizon, they're more horizontal. All the markings are more horizontal. Kind of space them out. Give yourself room. Kind of push in. Maybe you could push in with your nail or something else. But what you want to do is just give the impression that there's something there. Do it more horizontally. Just push in with your finger every once in a while in some places. And call those some clouds. Obviously, when it gets closer to you, the foreground, you start doing more vertical shapes. They're also going to have to be deeper because you want to show more depth or more, I guess, hue, which you really can't do it with this, except for kind of digging in to the surface more, which will give it more of a shadow, which should show that it's not faded. It should show it's closer towards you. So always remember, at the top of your landscape and at the bottom of your landscape, it should be closest towards you, and your horizon line, wherever you set that at, is going to be the furthest away. So everything going out from the horizon line should gradually get darker and darker, darker and darker, to kind of show that perspective better. So these are the markings right now. It doesn't really look like too much, but I'm going to add just some more markings down here to show kind of where the mountains start and where I'm going to call it just a field or prairie for right now. Kind of mark that, and then I'll show you kind of what this looks like close to the horizon. Alright, so all I've done is I made that horizon line just by spinning this and pressed faintly on here. And you got to remember, when it's close to the horizon line, a lot of these lines are going to be closer together. As you come further towards the foreground, you need to space a lot of these lines farther and farther out. So I still need to work on the spacing of that a little bit. So here's some areas that are just kind of faint, but this is giving a little bit more understanding to the landscape in terms of where the mountain starts at, where the foreground is, where this skyscape is going to be at, and it's really kind of just setting up these different levels. So what I'm going to work on now is my mountains. So I need to figure out a good area, or I need to figure out where the light is going to hit. And right now I have texture on this side, so I'm thinking more light is hitting to the left. So really what I'm going to need to do, and remember, this mountain is in the background or further away than this one, so any texture that I do to this one needs to be lighter, and any mountains that I think are more forward, I need to emphasize and bring that out with making deeper cuts. And then eventually I'll do that with the clouds, and I'll eventually get some bigger clouds up here. And also just remember to keep hydrating. If you stop working on it, cover it. And I'll show you guys a little bit more as I go along. Alright, so all I did here was make deep gouges into this side, the right side. Sun is coming in to the left. I still scraped off some of this side just to keep texture there, but obviously it's not going to be as much as it will be on the right side. Then I just came over with a brush, wet it down a little bit just to get any of those little crusties off. And that is what the mountains look like at this time. Next thing I'm going to do is try and figure out the shapes of the clouds. I kind of want to make, see, there's kind of like a big bare spot here. Maybe like through here, a big kind of cumulus cloud forming. And all I'm going to do for that is just push my fingernail up against here, and you can see it already starting to form. And again, this helps just to study these kind of conditions. If you wanted to do a skyscape, study skies. If you want to do mountains or streams or prairies or fields or whatever else, just look up some things and use them as reference. But I found that the sky, so from painting, the things that are standing, like trees or structures, or it could be a plant right in front of you, those are going to be generally the darkest. Okay? And then the sky is generally going to be the lightest, and the ground itself is going to have sort of like a gradient. So it's going to be, like I was talking about before, the foreground darkest up to the horizon, which gets lighter and almost blends in with the sky. So that's what you should be thinking about at all times. I'm going to do a cumulus right here. Then I'm going to make that a little bit deeper because I want to emphasize that it's bigger, it's thicker, it's, it's there. It's right behind the mountains. It's making its way maybe towards us, or maybe it's growing into something bigger. So I'm going to do that next, and I'll probably mess with the clouds a little bit more and the horizon some, and then tell you, or mess with the field a little bit more and then tell you what I do. Alright, so what I've done so far is I've burnished the piece above the mountains. So above the mountain line, I burnished everything. I just avoided these clouds, and then the smaller clouds I just redid. This actually isn't a cloud, that's just a mark from something, but all these little small clouds I kind of just redid because they got burnished out. But I figured that, the clouds and just the sky in general, it should look clearer, it should look smoother. So that's why I burnished that out. These mountains I made a little bit deeper, which really I'd like more of a deepness on this side, because right now, and that also just has to do with the way the sun's hitting this. Depending on the lighting, it could change the effect of the mountains. But I'll probably keep messing with the mountains some. I want them to kind of protrude out, so I might soften this up. Instead of it being very drastic right there, I might soften that up a little bit and try and dig deeper in just to get the mountains to protrude out. And then I just made these small little scuff lines on the horizon, very, very small, just to give some added texture, like grass or something like that. I don't know, there could be trees on the edge of the mountain line there. And as it gets closer and closer to me, I should start making thicker, bolder lines, and they should be deeper. So that is what I'm going to work on now. Alright, so see that I have deeper marks at the bottom. You get lighter towards the top. And what I think I might do is I might darken these top ones up a little bit more, just give a little bit more emphasis on the depth here, and deepen these horizontal lines some throughout here. Alright, so you don't want to overdo it especially with small little markings, especially if you're using wild clay, because you know there's going to be sand in there, and it could really just kind of jumble things up and pull things that you don't want pulled. And but yeah, that's the basics again. I've kind of already made a video on this before, but kind of want to just go over it again, and hopefully you guys have gotten something from this. I'm always trying to push what I can do with these pots. If you guys got any sort of value from this, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps out the channel and really keeps me motivated to do more. If you could, comment down below on a video you'd like to see next, or you know, maybe you have some tips for me. I'd love to hear them. I'm by no means an expert, but hopefully you guys got some value from this. I'm gonna try and clean this up a little bit where the sand's kind of just popping through. I think it went all right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.